We can go ahead and start, guys. Looks like we've given everybody enough time to come in. We're joined by a big crowd today. Um, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. What we like to do here is in this channel, lose data. Hopefully, it's something that you never have to do or experience. And if you do, by watching some of the things John and I do today, you'll learn some of those lessons and be ready for recovery or avoid the data loss in the first place. We're going to be focusing on infrastructure as a service and platform as a service, specifically with Azure today. But just keep in mind, here at AvePoint, we are a multi-cloud vendor. We are a Microsoft partner, Salesforce partner, Google partner, and we do multi-cloud protection across the world. But while we're doing icebreakers, a lot of times the presenters spend a lot of time telling you about themselves. But I figured you guys could tell us a little bit about yourselves while we tell you about ourselves. So my name is Sham Oza. I'm a product marketing manager here at AvePoint, specializing with data resilience. And I'm joined by John, who probably needs no introduction. But John, if you want to tell the folks a little bit about yourself while they fill out this poll on screen.
Hi, nice to meet everybody. Yeah, my name is John Garrett. I'm part of the solution engineering team here in the UK. So the solution engineers look after the sort of AvePoint product set, and we are here to help our customers kind of walk through the solutions and what works best for their environments. My background is purely IT. I've been in IT about 30 odd years. I started off in service desk, and then I finished my tenure as an enterprise architect for a legal firm, and then I joined AvePoint a couple of years ago. So nice to meet everybody.
Awesome. Sounds like you've been in the trenches. And for those of you guys who are in the trenches right now, we're very curious. There are some folks who have focused a lot on on-premises workloads. Some people have even repatriated, back to their sovereign clouds. They may be using things like private cloud deployments. Azure Local is becoming very popular in certain regions. So if you are a primarily self-hosted and managed company, or you're taking those steps back, we'd be interested to see if that's your direction. If you're truly hybrid cloud, trying to get the best of both worlds, a mixture of self-hosted applications and public cloud infrastructure, IaaS and SaaS, or have you gone completely into the cloud, made that commitment? You're doing low code, no code. You've got platform as a service going. You've got DevOps. You are very, very aggressively taking advantage of those cloud workloads. And we'd love to just get an idea of where you guys are. It helps us design our products and solutions to meet your needs. So we'll just let this poll wrap up in a couple seconds here. About John and I. We're about to find out a little bit about you guys. And then we'll move on with our presentation. Curious to see the results here. John, are you able to see the poll results about our
Yeah, I can
lovely
see
friends?
I can see them. Yeah,
Oh,
so
what'd you get?
so we got primarily cloud managed. So we got
Wow.
57% on there. And funny enough, there's actually no respondents on self-hosted and managed. So no on-prem, no bare metal,
No icky bare
but
metal.
it
We don't want that.
nothing. No. So yeah, primarily, but it's either primary cloud or we've got 43% down in the hybrid cloud as well. So yeah, that's
Gotcha.
kind of pretty much what we see. Actually, it's just creeping up on the hybrid. So, but it's good to see that we've got a lot of people based on the fully cloud managed elements now, and
Yeah.
nobody down on primary self-hosted.
Yeah, that used to be like 13%. I guess all those friends are gone now. Or we might see that number go up in a few years. Who knows with the way
Yeah.
regulatory environments change. But this is very interesting. So for those of you guys who are fully cloud, you may be understanding some of the challenges of legacy infrastructure already. And even though you have embraced the cloud, and you move forward to get rid of pesky things like worrying about high availability, worrying about physical data center security, infrastructure uptime, and things like that, you're still dealing with other challenges. The world is always throwing new stuff at IT professionals. Over the last couple of years, we've seen some very alarming statistics. 62% of small to mid-sized businesses were impacted by a ransomware attack originating from a provider in their supply chain. So the vendors that you're working with have to be trusted providers. You want to have that level of confidence when you're doing your security reviews, when you're doing security integrations, whether it's something as simple as SSO, maybe SIEM integration, something more advanced. You want to make sure that these vendors that you're trusting with your data, that you're opening up API connections to, and so much more aren't going to be the source of a potential breach themselves. We've also noticed that about 43% of customers, this has come from a Microsoft security report, have insecure Active Directory configurations. And we'll talk a little bit more about challenges folks have with configurations in a little bit with John. And at the end of the day, the solutions that you're leveraging, we all know things like Patch Tuesday, but you don't want to have Patch Thursday, Patch Friday, Patch Saturday, and Sunday as well as you bring on some legacy solutions. And what we've realized is, when you look at some of the behavior of threat actors and the way threats are being exploited, Mandiant Research has seen that 70% of successfully exploited vulnerabilities were zero-day threats. And so having not only to patch your own internal network and infrastructure, but having to patch or wait for updates from vendor infrastructure isn't just going to cut it anymore, especially when there are so many vulnerabilities coming out. They're spreading like wildfire on the dark web, and people are talking about it and getting little code kits and using agentic AI and all this stuff to find things. It's very, very scary. And people are embracing the cloud, but the cloud is full of lots of new things, new technologies, new opportunities. And close to 70% of orgs are actually struggling to find data protection for newer technologies, maybe DevOps, maybe Kubernetes, maybe low code, no code capabilities or SaaS apps that they're using. And so kind of our goal here together with you guys is to solve these data protection challenges. And we approach these challenges not only within a specific technology stack, but across multiple clouds. And this is probably the thing that's important to keep in the back of your mind. We're spending a lot of time talking about IaaS, PaaS, specifically about Azure, but that's probably just one piece of that stack. You guys are using, business productivity either in Google Workspace or in Microsoft 365, maybe elsewhere. Let us know. You're using low code, no code capabilities across Google, Salesforce, and Microsoft with things like Power Platform, Flow, Automate, all of those wonderful capabilities. And you need to protect things like the Dataverse underneath. So one of the things that you'll see here is while we're focusing on a specific workload, we're always keeping in the back of our mind, this is part of a broader stack that you need to protect, govern, and get reporting on. So drilling in a little bit more, since we're here to talk about data loss, we're going to look at our philosophy for backup. So one of the things is regardless of, we're doing a demo today of Azure, but the way you want to think about it is we have a philosophy of unlimited automatic backups for all of your Microsoft Cloud assets, SaaS, IaaS, or PaaS. We want to give you the ability to recover that data in an app-aware way, a cloud or SaaS app-aware way as well. Whether that means restoring things in formats that are easily exportable or importable, whether that's us being able to restore very, very specific metadata or granular information, or the ability to restore conversations, apps, flows, things that traditional item and folder level recovery solutions, when they're pointed at the cloud, aren't designed to take care of. Simple things sometimes, just like as an independent planner board. A lot of vendors don't support that. And of course, everything that we do is secure and scalable by design. We have all of the badges, ISO, SOC. We help organizations achieve things like FINRA and HIPAA compliance with our tools. And we also have solutions that are meant to run on some of the most sensitive workloads, not just 14 data centers, around the world on Azure, but FedRAMP compliant. These are very, very aggressive security requirements for the United States public sector. And we meet those requirements for moderate impact data, and we're ready to support clients with high impact data. And of course, ransomware is the ugly word. Once again, I think the big statistic to focus on is there's been a just shy of 3x increase in ransomware encounters, specifically among Microsoft customers. And the ways ransomware can get into the system is just growing. It's not just ransomware spreading from an endpoint on your network or somebody downloading a file or sticking a thumb drive in, but things are getting synchronized from the cloud. They're getting embedded. Agentic AI is being used to find vulnerable systems to then access, accelerate, or escalate permissions on, and then deploy malicious code. We've even seen some backup solutions out there on the market actually have their manager agent relationship hijacked to do things like deploy ransomware across a network. And so our solution and our capability is designed to minimize the potential and the impact for these things by design, but also to have tools in the product itself to warn you when ransomware has happened, get you that early detection by looking for unusual activity in your backups, and then, of course, giving you the ability to recover either in full or at an item level post-attack. So when an attack happens and you need to recover, you need a solution out there. John's going to take over for a second and show you just how easy it is to run those backups, monitor them, and recover your environment.
Yeah, so the advantage with the platform is really that we utilize the Microsoft technology stack on the back end. Most of our customers, when we start to look at the solution, is that we have everybody up and running within about sort of 10 to 20 minutes. So we deploy applications into Entra, and then we use enterprise apps to bring through the environment. And getting ready to initially take backups is very, very simple. You simply grab the scope. There isn't a requirement to push agents out onto endpoints, onto servers, which also, as Shad said about, you patch Tuesdays or we patch Thursdays. There's no requirement to, have to update and keep those patches in tune. We simply use Microsoft Snapshot technology on the back end to be able to pull the data into our cloud. Just from the sort of the configuration of those, we can run through the environment. And for something like UK resources, we can split jobs out into different times with different retention periods. And you can configure things through dynamic rule sets or manually configure which servers you wish to back up from there. So we can take, specific resource groups or regions into multiple subscriptions, etc. And you just build this through, and then we will automatically grab the server into the backup job and then include it into the next cycle from there. You can have a whole range of storage options from that. So you can store out of region. You can also store into BYOS as well if you want. So we can really help you design your retention policies from that point. We'll cancel that out. From when you start diving into the restore elements of this, I'll kind of touch on VMs. We're going to do the sort of Entra side in a minute. But when we go into the virtual machines, we can dive into all of the snapshots. So you can just scroll through. So this is just a very simple calendar view that then you can have a quick look at what you've been backing up. So if I wanted to have a look at 2 minutes past 12 today, this is one of the VMs that I've included with inside my scope automatically. You can then get your restore options. So from a restore point of view, we can just do the usual stuff. It's just pretty much bread and butter. It's restoring back into the original location, but then also we can start breaking this out. And this is, sort of the elements that you can't do with standard sort of Microsoft technologies, is restoring across tenancy, going to separate subscriptions, breaking out across regions, etc. And then we can really sort of get into the real, the finer detail of about specifying availability options and what VM size, etc. So that's just a bog standard restore of a virtual machine. But where we really sort of see the advantage of the platform is actually you can start diving into this. Yeah, so I've got a disk 2 here, which is attached to the back of the VM. It's just a data drive. It's been added onto the server a while ago, and it's just got some data in there. It's just some dummy data. But if we start drilling through this on the server, you can see there's a load of files put in here, and this could be file services or your standard files that are held within inside a Windows VM. But what we can do from the AvePoint point of view is if we dive through this on the platform, is we go through the disk and into the volume that's associated with it, and we can start going through this. And it's like, yeah, okay, that's all good. Everyone can do that. But then we have the ability to just go and restore this single file. Okay, fine. So we're going to restore the object. We're going to give it the destination. We can just pop it into a temporary path. But the advantage that we can do, and especially when you look into situations where you might just want to take a file out of a backup, or you do have to get into a specific recovery process where you want to get data onto a clean VM, is that we can export. Okay, so this will come directly out of the AvePoint interface. It runs as a job with inside the platform here. And you can see I ran this earlier. It took a minute to drag this file out. But when you go into the job itself, you can then download the content. So you can download a folder or multiple files within inside this. And once you download that content, which when you hit on the button, you can see that a password gets generated with it, and the content's available for download, which is all recorded through tracking as well. So you know exactly what people are doing. You open up the file and the VM, and just grab the download here. So this came down as the zip file. You can then browse through this and browse into the customer servers, and you can see that this file is then existent within inside that download. So the kind of standard points about Microsoft Standard Recovery, where you have to just drag a whole VM back, or you have to store it within inside resource groups, we can really manipulate that to customize it into your DR and recovery plans and break it into different areas. It's completely up to you. And this is where you kind of really want to be when you're in those situations of like mass recovery, etc. But I'll pass back to you, Sham, now.
Oh, that's awesome. And I love all the little details there of, where we have security considerations in place. And that's what's really important at the end of the day. And it's because you're worried about your whole estate. And so we showed you a couple VMs. What about the rest of the estate? And John could do a demo of Teams backup, Planner backup, SharePoint backup, and everything else. But, what's kind of governing those applications? And when you kind of take that step back, it's Entra ID. And so I am a little bit more curious from the audience. What do you guys think? There was some research done recently on the percent of organizations that have attack paths that expose critical assets. So this is like unsecure permissions, overprivileged accounts, misconfigurations either in your hybrid settings, your application settings, your conditional access policies. Do you think organizations are mostly secure? 23%. Do you think it's a really bad problem out in the industry? 80%. Or is it somewhere in between? Curious where you think some of your peers are and the rest of the organization. And John, when you saw this, how conservative were you on this estimate, or where do you fall?
Well, that's always a good one, and I'm just seeing we're seeing the results kind of come in on it, but you like to think, well, you're in the sort of low percentage of that, but then actually who's actually massively exposed, and we see this, especially when budgets get moved and they get reduced from, for certain security angles, or focus goes on one area, policies and procedures get circumvented, so elements get bypassed and holes get exposed in certain areas. But we're seeing that everyone thinks about around 67% of that exposure rate.
So a little bit more ready to face reality. I hate to tell you guys this, but based on a Microsoft security report for 2024, 80% of organizations have at least one attack path that exposes a critical asset, a business critical asset to the world. Definitely check out the Microsoft Security Report. Lots of exciting insights there, but also very, very important reminder that we have to worry about every little button setting and configuration. And that can be a little bit frustrating when you could have thousands of them, right, John? Is there a way we can make this easier for the customer?
Well, yeah, you can have a look into the Entra side of this. We
Sweet.
can, we can start diving into that now. Yeah, from the Entra piece, as Shan said, behind the back of that is so key to the way that 365 works and inside its the connected applications. So Teams, OneDrive, etc. All of those groups that are being created when you create a team site or communication site was inside SharePoint and everything binding together. It's massively overlooked with inside the object side, but also when it comes to areas around conditional access policies. One of the, I believe was inside that report as well, is that if a GA was to be exposed, or even a policy administrator with inside Entra, is that the first thing that the attacker will look for is to make a change with inside the CA policy to ensure that global admins are locked out. So you can run through this into, when you dive into the policy states with inside here. If you go into your conditional access policy, you can, where you might have a policy at the moment which says require MFA, if you switch that over to block, for example, you're then blocking your GAs out of the environment. So we're seeing these changes with inside the attack scope to ensure that security controls are being put over the top by the attacker, or at least they're getting an understanding of what's going on with inside the environment. So just to run through that and how you recover from that, and which we mentioned attackers with inside there, but it also can be procedural changes. Yeah. So if somebody was to accidentally change a PowerShell script, we can go through and we can recover into recovery points from that. So we could go through and just recover out the CA policy or whatever. These are app registrations. So you can see here, we can go down to enterprise apps, roles and administrators, etc. But what we have the ability to do with inside the platform as well is with inside the portal settings is we can actually do comparisons. Okay, so we can see here when the original CA policy was created under the global admins, these were all the original settings. So it was a global admin. This was admittedly was set to report only, but who was assigned, what controls were inside there, etc. So this was when the policy was originally created. Now, if you find yourself being locked out, you can still get access with inside the AvePoint platform. And then with inside here, I've done another change with inside the back, and then this had a block put over the top of it. So when I dive into the policy here, you can see that actually the change. So, okay, so we're highlighting the differences between the policy. So we're taking that immediate panic and stress away from you in the environment. And where it had grant before, this has now got block access over the top. Now, perhaps somebody did that intentionally or not intentionally for an accidental change or just accidentally send the slider over, but that would have effectively forced all your GAs to be locked out of the tenant. Now, from this point, we can then go and recover it. So we can either recover back from the production environment, which you wouldn't do, but if you had a massive changes in here, you can actually select through the environment to change it back into the tenant. Okay, so if you had some modified, some added, etc., you could roll back to the specific recovery points, and then from there you do recovery, and it runs through that change and reverts it back for you. So we just go restore, and then it will merge the changes over the top. Okay, so this is the advantage of the platform. We don't just take the data, we don't just take the block level data, we're not looking at those, we're also looking at the metadata behind the back of that. So group level changes that are accidentally added or deleted. If you delete a group, for example, you could lose data, or if it's for a team site, it then becomes an orphan SharePoint site, and you've got data residing in there, and we can start going through and we can effectively make the M365 and the Azure environment more resiliency by providing a full coverage path with inside the backup scopes. But I'll pass back to you on this one, Sean.
No, that is awesome. And I will wrap up here for you folks with a quick summary of everything that we've seen. So keep in mind what you guys saw today was a small sliver of our capability, right? Um, just looking at Enter ID alone, app registration, enterprise apps, Enter ID B2C, this and so much more is, reviewable to see the deltas, to do the rollbacks, whatever you need. It's part of a broader cloud for your entire Microsoft or Google or Salesforce estate. We have native support for things like multi-geo. We let you bring your own keys. You have unlimited retention. If you don't want to use an AvePoint managed option, bring your own. And this way, you're meeting all of the challenges. You have all of your data protection, whether it's Azure, Google Workspace, Microsoft, Salesforce, whatever, manageable in that single pane of glass. And you're able to not just view the protection status, but with other capabilities, start to view the risk of that data, who has access to those apps, and further information you might need to take from a security perspective, not just a recovery perspective. And that's why AvePoint was recognized as an exemplary vendor in ISG's recent buyer guide for data recovery. We were ranked number one in the product capability category, and we've been recognized as a leader for customer and product experience. So one of the things that we'd love for you guys to do is, if you're not already part of it, join our family of customers that we serve and support across many, many verticals. And we'd love to talk and continue this conversation. So, last poll of the day, how can we help you next? Whether it's evaluating your organization's security posture and risk in the hybrid or, full cloud, whether you've got enough information and you're ready to jump in, you want a free trial, you'd like a deeper dive demo of these capabilities or maybe some other capabilities that we teased. You need to show pricing or some brochures to your leadership, or if you're all good and there's nothing you need at this time, we totally understand, but we'd love to have a conversation. I'm sure there's some cost savings or other capabilities that we can unearth. And I know John has had conversations with folks all the time where you just discover a surprise problem and realize, hey, we can help you with that. And then we can move forward.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, again, fill out that form. We would love to help you out, have a chat as soon as possible. Thank you, John, for those two excellent demos of our virtual machine restore capability and our Entra ID compare and rollback. I hope this was useful information for you guys. If you're curious about anything else, we are more than happy to support you. And we have global support and regional resources to help you out, not just local data centers, but local people. So again, thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us. Thank you, John, for a great demo. And we hope to chat with you guys soon.
Thank you, everyone.